So the question that came up to me this week is, do people really change generation after generation? And let me tell you how this came up. Hi, everybody. My name is Dee Burks. But let me tell you how this came up. I was commenting, like you do on the internet. Woo! It's in a writer's group. And one of the people was having trouble with a certain passage. And it was a couple of young women being confrontational with one another. And I added some comments, and one of the people commented back to me, well, you must not know many young women because they are this horrible and they are this way. And I thought, my first thought, and I know y'all will relate to this, is, oh, girl, do not come at a Gen Xer and tell her how mean people are, especially women. Don't even, man. Because we lived it. We're the Breakfast Club generation. We know mean high school people. We know mean young people. We know mean old people. So it got me to thinking, that is so many of us, though. We perceive that what we experienced in our lives was completely unique. It was so unique. We lived in a unique time. It was a unique space. And there's some truth to that. We have all lived in different times. We have all lived under different circumstances. However, guess what? People are all the same. It's really interesting to me that people's behavior, especially when we are in a group, when we're forced together as a group, where we can't choose who all's in that group, right? We're forced together in a group, whether it be high school, whether it be in a volunteer organization, whether it be at work, whether it be in a church, or whether it be in something like a senior community or assisted living. Guess what? People are all the same. We all behave in the same ways. And I really put some thought into this week. And it's really kind of a fun idea because it makes you realize it is not the circumstances which cause our differences. It's our own perception. Our circumstances, yes, absolutely were different. We were latchkey kids. The people before us, the boomers, mostly had stay-at-home moms. We didn't. The people who came after us didn't either, but then they also had social media stacked on top of that as young people. So, there were very different circumstances, no question, and I'm not necessarily diminishing that. But here's the thing. The things that made us feel insignificant, insecure, troubled, worried, guess what? Those emotions are the same across the board, generation to generation. The groups of people that we experienced and the different cliques within those groups of people exist everywhere. They exist today. They existed yesterday. They existed 10 years ago. They existed 100 years ago. Because people don't change. And I've heard people say, but we're just beyond that as a society. We're beyond those issues. No, we're not. Because society is completely replacing itself every 20 years. Those people have to grow up. They're not born with all the knowledge they'll ever need and all the understanding. No. They're all raised by different people. They all have different traumas. And guess what? They have to learn the same lessons as the generation before that, and the generation before that, and the generation before that. We don't come with this prepackaged, loaded software that give us all this knowledge and understanding of human behavior. We have to learn it. It is traumatic to learn no matter who you are. And the funny thing is, I think there's this idea, especially when you're young, because I thought this too. Well, once I get to 30, it'll be different. Like this will smooth out and I won't feel like I'm just totally running with my hair on fire. It'll be different. And then you think, well, okay, 30, you're a parent, and you're like, oh, God. Okay, well, when I'm 40, this is going to smooth out. I will get my act together and it'll be okay. Yeah, and then 40 comes along and you realize not only is it not okay, you're way dumber than you thought you were at 30 or at 20. You're way dumber. You start to realize, oh, wow, There is this depth of human understanding that you haven't even scratched the surface of. And you spend the rest of your life dog paddling through that peanut butter, trying to figure it out. And it's so funny because some of my friends, one of whom, actually both of whom, live in senior communities, and one of them it's a senior community, but also an assisted living community. They were talking about this, the cliques, you know, and you don't think about that as older people, there's these same cliques. You get into that assisted living or that senior community, the over 55 communities, and guess what? You still have the skaters who are zipping around their little hallways in their hot rod motorized wheelchairs and motorized scooters showing off. Yes, they still do. There's also the stoners. I am stunned at the number of older people who are so excited about their new drug regimen and how great their new pain pills are. They're all about it, man. They are bringing it. The stoners are real in assisted living. And of course, you have the emos. Oh, the sky's falling. Oh, my Lord, my hemorrhoids. It's always something. And there's a lot of those people. But they're very prevalent. And they're a little clique. They all hang around together. They all whine together. They all try to draw other people into their dark drama. Yeah, it's still there. And then, of course, you still have the popular people. And guess what? They're all being social and friendly and running around hooking up and hanging out and spreading STDs all over the assisted living facility. Yes, it still exists. People do not change. The natural tendencies of human beings to group together, to develop some sort of pecking order, to try to lift themselves up by making other people smaller, that still exists. It exists on every level, in every location, and age doesn't get you out of it. We don't grow past it, unfortunately. Now, you can do great work on yourself, and you can become a much better person, but you're not going to escape the natural tendencies of humans to do these things and engage in these behaviors. So, what next? And my thought was, because you can look at that as a very negative thing, but it's really not a negative thing. It's just human nature. That's all it is. So it's not necessarily negative. But I thought, what a great opportunity, because there are many of us now, people older than me definitely, but even my age, you know, in your 50s, and you don't feel like you necessarily relate to younger people anymore, but you do. You absolutely do. While your experiences may have been different, the emotions you feel or you felt at the time are exactly the same emotions they're feeling. You know, they're feeling the emotions of the financial stress of the economy, of the worry about, oh my gosh, everything's going to hell in a handbasket, huh? You know what? It's happened multiple times and we pulled out of it. Don't worry about it. You know, it's one of those things where you can really connect with people. You know, especially like with young parents, and they are the worst at saying, oh, you don't get it. Things are so different now. Circumstances are different. But that overwhelm you feel as a young parent, trying to be stretched so thin, worried about money, worried that you're going to ruin your kids for life, worried they're not going to get into the right schools, they're not going to do the right things, they're not going to... That worry is universal. And it is universal with every single generation. So as I thought about this week, I thought, you know, this is the holiday season. Is what we're in right now. And this is a great time. You know, all those relatives that you normally don't talk to, you know, because you don't think you have anything in common. This is a great time to sit down with them and talk to them. Talk about their concerns. Talk about how they feel. And have a real conversation. Not one of those, oh, everything's fine, it's great. Because it's not fun. The things that make us the most human are those experiences that we all share. Those times when we're overwhelmed, those times when we're sad, those times when we struggled and things just crashed in on us. You know, those are the times that they need to hear about. Not the times you were great or how you had this great career. Yeah, no. They need to hear about real life. And you may think that those stories aren't worth anything, But they really are. Those are the ones they're going to remember when you're gone. So I would really encourage you to share those stories about your life, about those tough times, about, wow, how you felt. Not necessarily the circumstances of it, but how you felt. Relate to them on the emotional level. That's where they're going to relate to you. And all of a sudden you'll be having a conversation you thought you'd never have. And that's something to treasure. So if you've liked this video, please click subscribe. And I'll see you next time.